Okay, we're back on Talkback. 721-1290 is our number. All right, City Talk. It's underway now. The phone lines are open. 721-1290. That's Nick Christensen right over there.
Good morning, Peter.
And Ginny Miriam joining us in the studio, communications director for the city, and Mr. Dennis Bowman, the superintendent, right?
No, Deputy Public Works Director of the utilities.
Now, you used to be the superintendent.
That's correct. Yes, I used to be.
You guys keep chasing the...
He just goes up and up and up, our Dennis.
They're all Deputy Public Works Directors for something now, right? That's essentially what it is.
There are only two.
Okay.
Only two.
And we got both of them. Woo-hoo.
Yeah, there you go. All right, so let's talk a little bit about the history of Missoula Water. Now, you've actually been working with water in Missoula for many, many years, right?
That's correct. I got 33 years experience working in water. I started in Missoula under Mount Water in 96. I transferred from one of the other park water companies up to here. So I started out in the meter reading department and then turned around and moved my way up. I was in charge and was the lead person foreman for the distribution and meter reading, and ended up being the superintendent, which overseeing the distribution system, all the warehouse and purchasing, dispatch, and meter reading.
Now, I understand that it's been 3 years now, right? 2 years.
2 years.
Two years.
Sunday was the 2-year anniversary.
Oh, wow, 2-year anniversary. So how's it going?
I think excellent. It's really nice because I'm pretty sure everybody knows, but if not, Missoula Water is an enterprise fund. So when you pay your bill on that money stays in the department. That money goes back into reinvesting. Since for the last 2 years, we put in close to 13,000 feet of pipe we replaced, a little over 6,000 feet of new main we put in, like Russell Street with that big project. We extended the main. There was no fire protection in that area. So we hit it hard the first few months, did a lot of maintenance, brought everything up to date, about 450,000 extra. And we've changed after the first 6 months. Instead of reacting to issues, all the employees in that were being more proactive on doing stuff. So we're looking at, it's more a sense of employee owned. So it's been outstanding. I can't thank the employees enough. It's all their great work and positive attitude has been outstanding.
Sounds like everybody's kind of all in on this, right?
Everybody's all in on it. Like I said, and they're not only what they're doing today, they look at the action that they do today, how it's going to affect 5 years from now, years, 15, 30 years and stuff, making sure no more Band-Aids, no more Band-Aiding, putting Band-Aids, because they're here for the life and they really care about the system and the community and the customers.
Okay, so we have a Facebook question, right?
Yeah, Kitty said, how much of the infrastructure has to be replaced? How much is yet to be replaced? And what is the total cost that the ratepayers get to pick up in the tab?
If you go with our facility plan, if we can replace all the mains that are over 50 years old, because there's a lot of mains that are 100 years, 60, 80 years, you're looking at $100 million to replace all this stuff.
Well, here, let me help you out.
You know, Peter, thanks, Peter. I really appreciate it. Let me make note of that.
You can rename it to Peter Christian Water Company.
Yeah.
Anyway, no, go ahead.
Yeah, and so, you know, it does take a lot. So, but what we've done is that you're very fortunate that when the city took over, the mayor decided after a few months to keep the rates at a low rate. We could have went up to 6%. He was seeing how well we were maintaining the system and really putting the capital back in improving the system. So we have a 5-year, 10-year plan I do internally of all the capital projects we want to do. We're being more strategic. We're communicating better with the other departments like Brian. You know, it doesn't make sense for Brian to go out and pave a street and then I come a year or 2 years later and tear it up to put a brand new water main. So what we're looking at is that we're sharing our 5 and 10-year capital plan for replacements with streets, parks. I also oversee the wastewater department. So we have our 5-year plan in the wastewater. So we're trying to see if we're doing water main in a street and we have all the traffic tore up, why not take care of whatever sumps we need to do for stormwater? Why not take care of anything for wastewater along with water? And then Brian can come in and take care of everything else, and we shouldn't have to touch the street again. So we're really being better prepared and pre-planning for future projects.
Now, is this a new concept? Because you said you've been in water for 33 years. I would like to think that this is something that I would hope is been done in the past, right? That collaboration, working together. Is this something that's been kind of new?
Brian and I used to collaborate periodically, but it was so hard being on the private side and city side. You know, Brian could only do certain things, and then I didn't have control by the corporate office, whether it was in California or Canada. So this is a big plus for us, is that we're all in the same family. We're all here, and we serve the community. So it's really nice to be able to put that together and collaborate all our future projects.
Now you had mentioned earlier that something kind of blew my mind, and that was that some of these water mains are over 100 years old. Where are they? Are they primarily over on like in the Rattlesnake area or downtown, or what?
There's some of the ones on the lower part of the Rattlesnake, and then over on the north side of the railroad tracks, down by City Hall, more over on the south side off of Orange and Higgins and stuff. Not much on the South Hills and that. The South Hill stuff is still 60, 70 years old. More west side is more newer stuff, ductile iron, PVC and that. But you know, like some of the mains we replaced on the north side was put in 1914.
Wow.
Yeah.
So now, are we talking at that time? Were we talking wood, cast iron, what?
It's called calamine, so it's like a galvanized steel. But the hubs were put together, and that's where the hubs, how they're fastened, all the lengths of pipe put together.
Right.
That's what's wearing out. The pipe is not really wearing out. The other part that was put in the 40s, that we call invasion pipe, is super, super thin steel pipe. And so that's deteriorating. There's no structural integrity on that. So we're balancing it out depending on the areas as whether we're going to do the calamine or invasion pipe. We try to coordinate like 3rd Street. We're going to redo 3rd Street here this next year. That was not on our list, but it's an old main, but it was out 5-6 years. But Brian talked to me and said, hey, I got to overlay this because he has nothing but complaints on that. So we kind of sped up the engineering that on it. Let's see, it's going to be a group project. That way it'll help the community, everything, by getting 3rd Street all done. So we're able to coordinate and move things around.
Now you've had the advantage of having worked for the previous company and now the present company. And so I was going to ask you how you know how old these systems are and where the trouble spots are that really need to be addressed. But like I said, you've been there many, many years, so you probably already knew that.
Yes, I already knew that. And what we changed in 2001, the way the repairs and leaks and everything were done to the system before 2001 is that they used to fill out paperwork report in the field. That would go into a file cabinet. In 2001, when I became the foreman for the distribution department, we changed that and made it all electronic. And so it was linked into with our GIS system. So anybody in the field that was working on the mains and that, they can click on their laptop computer on a previous leak and see all the information that associated with that previous leak, what type of main it was, how many repair bands they had to put in, or they had to cut in a piece of pipe or whatever. It really gave a lot of information to the field public. That all came over because that was all part of the assets of the water system when the city purchased it.
Okay. Now, when you talk about water leaks, one of the things I remember that during the whole hoorah when the sale was going through and the court thing and all that was, oh, there's just so many leaks. Well, are we getting better? Are we fixing them? What's the deal?
We're getting better. It's slow. It's a slow process. One of the ways we're getting better is replacing the mains. We have some technology. I think this last 2 weeks, we probably fixed 8 leaks. So we plan on our future plan in the next 2 years, get everything in the budget. We want to get some additional technology. They have some newer technology that's come out that we can put either listening devices on hydrants or listening devices on the valves in the streets that they would record and listen for sounds in the middle of the night to indicate leaks. And then the software hooks in. Yeah. We used to have under mountain water. We had some before, and then you drive by and it would say leak indicated. So that stuff is outdated, but we're in the process of trying to get as much technology as we can because, 300 feet or miles of main in the system is 6 feet down. The way the aquifer in that is here, the way the ground is, it doesn't surface. It goes down. So the only way we know if it leaks is that in a clay area, it'll come up, or if a customer calls up and says, hey, I hear a noise in my basement, like I got a leak.
All right. So I was going to ask you, since we we're so fortunate to be living on this huge aquifer here. Does that water just go back into the aquifer, or does it just kind of hang around, or what?
Yes, it goes right back to the aquifer.
It does. Okay. So we're not losing anything, but
We're not losing
but it makes the system less efficient.
That's correct. Yes.
Okay. Okay, we're up against a break. Tim is waiting to visit with you. When we come back, we have 3 other lines open. Our guest in the studio, Dennis Bowman. He is the Deputy Director of Public Works for Water, and we'd love to have your calls this morning on City Talk when we come back in just a moment.
I think we can add to that answer too by pointing out that I think what this Facebook question was, am I going to get a bill for all these repairs?
Oh,
And
yeah.
it's all included in the rates.
Yeah.
You won't even see it in that. You have more money under public ownership
Mm-hmm.
because previously a certain amount had to go to investors. I don't think people understand that. Maybe we
Yeah.
can work that
Yep.
in somewhere.
Yeah.
Oh, here's my bill from Dennis for the main over on.
Hmm?
Here's my bill from Dennis for the main on Fifth Street. No,
It's hard for me to
Not
remember
happening.
too.
Remember what?
You're on one today. You go.
that was a good question.
It was very good.
A lot there. I feel bad because some of our Facebook people, they give us 2 questions, and then it's like 3 different parts of the question, and then it's like you got to remember, and there's just so much to cover. So yeah, with kitties, it's like, oh, there's a lot there to try to address, but we do our best.
That's why you went to journalism school,
Yeah.
right?
No, that's just
That sharply honed mind.
You're in the wrong place if you're looking for a sharply honed mind anywhere around here.
Peter always tells me that for his excuse. Well, Ginny, I didn't go to journalism school. I finally had to tell him. I know what year you were born now. How many years you've been doing this? You know everything.
Well,
you don't need it.
Let's put it this way.
On the job training.
In 2023, I'll have been in radio for 50 years.
Wow.
Okay, see.
You think, hope I'd learned something by
I
that.
think you know everything.
You get an
that Nick and I learned in high school.
honorary
Yeah.
degree? I
Yeah,
don't
you
know.
should get an honorary doctorate. I'll see what I can do.
Well, the J school preaches learn
Don't
by
tell that to
doing,
Denise
so.
Dowling, though. She's not buying that for a second. You're going to get in there and you're going to pay tuition, buddy. You're going to be in my class.
Learn by doing is the thing. So.
Yeah, that's their motto. Learn by doing. Peter's doing, he's learning.
Yeah,
No,
remember your
I-
first day out reporting in the world?
Scary.
God, this is what it's like.
Scary.
No.
Yeah.
My very first time for live reporting was in Judge Odlin's courtroom.
No.
And he gave me such a raft of crap. He's such a nice guy, right?
I thought you were going to say Wally.
But he knew I was new, and he just really gave it to me.
Judges were terrible. They were terrible.
He's a wonderful guy, though. I love the guy. Okay, we're back on Talkback. 721-1290 is our number, 1-800-568-5309. And we've got folks on the phone waiting to talk to Dennis Bowman with Mountain Water. I'm sorry, Missoula Water. Gosh, I got to get that right. Tim is on the line. Tim, good morning. You're on Talkback. Hi.
Good morning. Thanks for taking my call.
You bet.
I
What's
have
up?
a question. I think I read in the paper that the mayor, part of his budget is $7 million to replace water mains in Missoula. Is that correct?
That's not correct. It actually was, he indicated that it was $5.9 million that we're going to be spending to improve the Missoula
Okay,
water
that's-
infrastructure.
That's great. So $5.9 million is part of the city budget. If you're a standalone department where all the money generated from the water company goes right back into the water company, why is the city spending $5.9 million of their budget to do water work when that should be coming out of the profit that you folks get from the customers? Why is that part of the city budget? When the mayor came on the radio himself and said it was illegal for the mayor to commingle money from the water department to the city funds. So I don't understand why we're spending $6 million on city taxes when it's supposed to come out of the water department.
Okay, let's let him answer that. Thanks for the call. Go ahead.
Yeah, it does come out of it's an enterprise fund. That money is coming out of the water enterprise fund. It doesn't come out. When we submit our budgets, when the mayor submits his budget, it includes all the departments, even the enterprise funds, even like stormwater, wastewater and Missoula Water. So right now, the way it is the customer pays their water bill. That money stays within the department enterprise fund. They can't use it anyplace else.
So in other words, that money does not go into the general fund.
It does not go in the general fund. No,
Okay.
no property taxes get used at all. That money stays there. And that's why the current rates right now, like the Facebook question earlier about what am I going to get a bill for all this? No, this is all built into the rates that you currently pay right now. This is the difference. We can do this because the money is staying here. There's no profit. It's not going out of state. There's no profit, no other. Every penny that we get stays in the system.
Might also be helpful to know that all the court costs from the trial and all that are also being coming out of this same enterprise fund. In other words, not coming out of taxes.
That's correct. Yes, everything comes out of here. Anything associated with the water department at all, everything comes right out of the enterprise fund.
Okay, that's good to know. All right, let's get Bob on the line. Good morning, Bob. You're on with Mr. Bowman. Go ahead.
Thank you. Ultimately, this is probably a legal question, but it bothers me. I've starved to death in this city for a third of a century. My water supply comes from a shutoff in a neighbor's yard, crosses under a paved street, to reach my property. Now, in my mind, that's terrible engineering. Admittedly, I bought the house, but if that line goes bad, do you have any sense of general policy? I have to pay the entire cost of building, structure that goes way off my own property?
Yes, it is. And unfortunately, the way it was set years and years ago, even underneath Montana Power, when they owned the system and that, the water department owns and has all the assets like your main, hydrants, valves, reservoirs, pumps, and that. The customer owns the service line all the way to where it ties into the water main. And unfortunately, back in the day, some of the engineers said, no, don't extend the water main. Just go ahead and hook on over here. And we've seen service lines being run across two lots. We've seen them go across a street into an additional alley in that. And it was just poor design back in the day. But the other thing that we had in place, and we didn't have it underneath private ownership, but we did this year, is that we have a loan program. There's been so many times that I've had to talk to customers throughout the years and say, unfortunately, your service line is leaking. You got to fix it. It's creating a hazard or whatever. And they get very emotional and say they don't have the money to do it.
Right.
So with the council's approval, we ran everything through. So like Peter, your service line leaks. Say you don't have the $3,000 to fix it.
Let me tell you what, just where I live, my service line is 150 feet long.
Yes.
Whoa.
Yeah. So if I had to replace that,
yeah,
we're talking major mortgage time, right?
Yeah, but that's what I said. Now the option is you have an option. You have two options right now. Is that you can do? We'll give you a loan,
right?
And what that loan, you'll turn around, you bring in what it's going to cost, pay the bill. We put that on your water bill, so you pay a monthly payment. So you're paying it. So we're giving an option for you to. So
that payment is right on my water bill every month.
Correct.
Okay.
Yep.
All right.
Try to make it easy as possible for you. The other option is that the League of Cities are working on, and they have a private company that does warranties. So you can also purchase a warranty program through a private company.
That might not be a bad idea.
Correct. Yeah.
See, this is the first time hearing about this because you and I have spoken, Jenny, about my situation where I live. I live 150 feet off the road, and back when it was really, really cold, and it was freezing and thawing. People were telling me, your water main, your service line is going to freeze, and you're going to be out thousands and thousands of dollars. And luckily, it didn't happen. So,
Yeah.
But it could, and in fact, pretty soon, I think with July water bills, the customers will be getting some information about this warranty program. It works like insurance.
Mm-hmm.
For very tiny premium every month. Looks pretty good to me.
Boy, it sure does. And especially as the gentleman, as Bob just said, if he's got some kind of funky deal that was, jerry-rigged back way back when, that just to make a subdivision go, right? Long before subdivision review, right?
Right.
Then this might be a really good deal. Especially now, is there a way that the average homeowner can determine how long their service line is? Can they just call your office and say, I live at this address, and they'd be able to look it up?
Yeah, we have ditch guards, we call them. And basically what it does is that we have it on the computer and plus a file. cabinet full of ditch cards. It tells us where the curb box location is, where the shutoff valve, and what type of main it's tapped onto, and where it comes into the house.
All right. That's good to know. I think that'd be a really good idea.
You can do that for your sewer line too.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly. Okay, we're going to take a quick break. 721-1290 is our number. 1-800-568-5309. If you can put your question on Facebook. We are on Facebook Live. Hello. We also have all 4 lines open. Don't let this opportunity go by. Dennis Bowman, Deputy Public Works Director for Utilities, the Missoula Water Guy. We're going to come right back with more Talk Back in a moment.
I never thought about a service line going under a street.
You're doing great.
Well, thank you. Yeah, it's like I
He
said.
knows everything. I just call him and ask him, Dennis. Oh, it's blah 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 blah.
It's like I said, there's so much to this system. There's so much information. There's so much positive stuff that's gone on the last 2 years, just little things. But the biggest, I think of it like a father, is that I stand back sometimes and watch how the employees are interacting and how happy they are, and the culture we have at Missoula Water. And it's just, I'm very, very proud. They make my job easy. They're outstanding.
I always say, I look on my calendar and say, oh, I have a meeting at Water. I get to go to Water because it's just fun to walk in
It's
the
a happy
building.
place.
It is a happy place.
Yeah, we want.
And there are other city departments that are also happy. There are some not so happy. It's a great culture, and they're all so devoted and caring, and they care about the customer, and it's really good.
Well, people
awesome.
forget that the people that work for the city are people.
Yeah.
They're not
People
just
like
these
people.
faceless entities and uncaring bureaucrats that are sitting around looking for ways to mess with your life. So
It's the same thing when you call someone on the phone when you need something, like, at a company. It's like, treat them nice. They're probably going to treat you nice too. They're people too. If you call, why is my phone bill so high, or you didn't do this, and get all aggressive, well, what do you think? How are people going to react? So
here we go. Stand by.
That is true.
Okay, welcome back to Talk Back, brought to you by Knife River Residential. Quality workmanship, competitive pricing, and attention to detail. Now for your home project, get a free estimate at 532-5250. Selway Armory on Stockyard Road. More guns and ammo than anyone in Missoula, Montana's premier firearms dealer. And by Primary Residential Mortgage, Bill Darling, promising you excellent service long after your loan is closed in Missoula at 2112 Dixon Avenue. All right, we're back on Talk Back. It's the Friday edition. It's City Talk. Joining us here in the studio, of course, we have Nick Christensen, our show producer. We're going to take your calls. And Dennis Bowman, the Deputy Public Works Director for Utilities, and Communications Director, Jenny Miriam, here joining us here in the studio. All right. Now, I wanted to ask you about the city has just annexed a big area out by the airport, and I want to find out, is Missoula Water already out there, or are there plans to extend it, or what's the status on that?
Missoula Water.
Go ahead.
Missoula Water was already out there. Same way with the sewer. Everything, all those facilities are already out there. So, it's no impact to those customers out there for service. We don't have to run any mains or anything like that. We're already servicing that area. So it's just a win-win for everybody.
Okay, so that was already ready to go then.
That's
Okay,
correct.
all right.
Yep.
So I probably just misunderstood the fact that those services are out there before the annexation ever takes place, right?
That's correct. On this one here, it was.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. So we have a Facebook question, Nick.
yeah, Bruce wants to know, if one decided to get the insurance for a supply line, would the line have to be inspected prior to coverage? And then Kitty also wanted to know, what is the cost of the inspection?
I don't believe he has to. We're going to be, like Jenny Marinan mentioned just a little while ago, is that we're going to end up putting flyers out here in the next few weeks, along with the water bills. And also you can go online to check our website out, and we'll be updating that and put all this information. We're going to have question and answers on that, on the website and that. And one of the lead people that are doing this is our utility engineer, Logan McGinnis. And so he's been the ones that have been in contact with the company in that to really help out and answer every questions, make sure this was all good.
Yeah, and this is something new I hadn't heard of before. So this is really,
It's brand new.
yeah, it's brand new, and I know that there are people living in various parts of the city where the water mains are older, and the service lines also obviously are older, and so to be able to have that little bit of peace of mind in the back of your head, I think that would be a pretty good deal. Maybe a couple extra bucks a month, probably. I have no idea what it would be.
I should have brought the rate with me, but I want to say about $6 a month.
Well, that's not bad.
And they'll be doing a mailing.
Right.
So complete information. They have a toll-free number.
Okay. So will each individual have their rate of how much it would cost for their house, or is that something we just need to call in and find out about?
You have to call them and find out. I believe it is the same rate
Oh,
no matter how long you're. It's not by foot of line.
okay. All right. Well, that's good to know. All right. So what as you're obviously you're looking forward into the future. We're not just sitting on our laurels or resting on our laurels here. What kind of things are you looking forward to in the future that Missoula Water wants to do?
Well, we're continuing looking at the different mains and working with street department, park and rec, development services, everything for all the mains that we want to replace. Keep adding hydrants. We put 24 in the last 2 years. We added 24 hydrants to the system. One of the other projects been really super positive so far is working with Trout Unlimited, the removal of the rattlesnake intake dam. So that is a huge project. That is going to be so nice. Put it back the way it was. Put the stream back to the way it was. That facility up there is not needed anymore. It's
I was going to ask you about that. There was a big press conference out there with the officials, and so explain, if you would, a little bit about the history of that, how it came about, and why you decided, hey, we don't need this anymore.
Well, basically, that system was used for water, for domestic water back. And then back in the early years, it was first built in 1901 and added on to it a little bit up until about 1924. Up until 1983, that was part of the domestic water in that. And then a Giardia outbreak came, and then they stopped using it anymore. But
so it's just been sitting there since then, right?
It's just been sitting there, but it was sitting there as a way that if we ever had needed backup water supply, power outages, wells go bad, something that we needed to add some additional water, we would do that. The only thing we would have to do is issue a boil order because we put that in. But that would give us a little bit of domestic water and make sure we had fire protection too. But throughout the years, that facility is deteriorated. The dam is deteriorating pretty quick. So fortunately, Trout Unlimited contacted the city, since it's city ownership, wanted to partner with the city. They're carrying the ball. They're carrying the ball with the financing. It's not costing the city anything. It's been super positive. Like you said, Lieutenant Governor Cooney was out last Friday.
Right.
It was just, it's so positive, so impressed with Trout Unlimited and how fast and how everything is being so coordinated with everybody.
Now, if you don't, I didn't get a chance to attend the press conference because I worked till 10 o'clock. Thanks, Jenny.
We didn't set the schedule. I always try to accommodate.
I know.
It was the Lieutenant Governor.
It's all about me. I'm sorry. But how are you going to replace that? How are they going to get rid of that and then make sure that there's obviously a lot of water backed up behind there?
There's no water behind the dam.
Well, there isn't. Okay.
Yeah, but there is water in the pond, and that'll be drained out. But what they have it strategically and engineered that they're going to put a bypass creek in and then take the dam out. We're going to have to relocate or get rid of the cabin that's up there. And then all the material where the cabin and everything is sitting, that all came out of the pond. So it's just going to be put right back in. They have it all time frame and timeline and everything. It's super positive how it's all going to work. So we're going to try to give tours during it. So while it's going on, I'm hoping that the university and kids and that, because this is good history, I'm hoping some school kids and classes will be able to come up and we'll give them a tour, show them what's going on, show the progress, and plus take pictures and have it on our website, the progress for everybody to enjoy.
Now, specifically, where exactly is this?
This is up the Rattlesnake. It's up off of just past Larch Drive as you go up Rattlesnake Drive, and it's on the west side.
Okay. All right. So people can go out there. Is the work going on right now as we're talking?
No, no work at all right now. Basically, the work plan right now is looking at next summer for it to start. They're trying to finalize the last bit of funding.
Sure. Got to get their ducks in a row, right? Okay, we're going to come right back with more Talk Back in just a moment. Phone lines are open if you have a question for Dennis Bowman, Deputy Public Works Director for Utilities for the City of Missoula. We're talking about Missoula Water. If you have a question or a comment, give us a call. We'll put you right on 721-1290. You're not controversial enough,
You
Dennis.
need 4.
Oh, sorry.
I thought we would be.
I told you.
Kind of bummed
Well,
out.
if you
I
could have
think
driven up in a
everybody's
snowplow, you'd have been okay.
I got a snowplow.
Another super cool thing about that Rattlesnake Dam project is that that's bull trout
Oh,
habitat.
Really?
Oh,
Wow.
yeah.
So
I can
once
get
the
into-
dam is out, bull trout can
Get back into
get
Yeah.
that.
higher up.
Yeah.
Well,
We can talk
Yeah, I
quick,
can
about
which
get
that.
is
in-
why Trout
yeah.
Unlimited is so interesting.
yeah, I can get into that because now the bull trout can get in there. But one of the other partners that we're really working with is Fish, Wildlife, and Park and the Forest Service
Mhm.
with the rattlesnake wilderness dams. And so, but I can get into that.
Yeah, that'd be
That's
good.
excellent
Let's do that.
information because they found more recently, Fish, Wildlife, and Park, that the bull trout are only going up into the wilderness area so far. And if we could release some of the water out of the lakes and lower the temperature of the water,
The
because
water is shallow.
the
That was
water's
so
shallow and
interesting.
it's heating up.
Oh, boy.
And
That's not good
so-
for bull trout.
Yeah, and so this is Fish, Wildlife, and Park. So
Right.
so we're working with them this
That
summer to
collaboration
open up
again,
some of the
yeah.
lakes up there and increase flow,
Cool.
drop the temperature. We can drop the temperature 3-4 degrees.
Wow.
They think the
So-
bull trout will go all the way up.
Awesome.
So that is so positive and exciting to see how all that works.
Well, I do remember the days when, they used to have the Perkins restaurant or whatever restaurant it was right on Rattlesnake Creek there. And you could sit right there and watch that water go rushing by.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure if does anybody even have that restaurant there
Yeah,
now?
it's 4
That's
B's.
4 B's
Is it 4Bs now? Okay.
Yeah.
good.
Yeah.
All right.
Tomato soup.
There we go. Yep. Okay, we're back on Talk Back. Welcome back. Brought to you this morning by Conflux Brewing, Missoula's newest downtown brewery, inviting you to take in the view from their oversized windows at Patty and Main downtown. Far Side Sign, Missoula's leading full-service sided custom vehicle graphic shop in the 2200 block of South Avenue West. And by Set in Stone, where nothing defines elegance and character quite like stone countertops. Find out more online at setinstonemt.com. All right, we're back on Talk Back this morning. And let's get on the phone and say good morning to Kevin. Kevin, you're on with Dennis Bowman. Good morning.
Good day, everybody, and happy Friday.
Yes, sir. What's up?
Thank you.
I'd like to get a question answered. People talk about the myth, and I don't know if it is a myth or people are not educated and probably don't know the facts. So the water company was purchased for $100 million, right? Somewhere in there.
Well, the total of the bond, the total bond was like 140 million, right? Is that am I right? No, 110 million, something like I don't know, somewhere in that
Okay,
ballpark.
so does that have anything to do with the cost for a residential or business for the water rates to be increased? Or is that into the city general fund coming out of that? How does that work?
You just joined us because we talked about this, but I know Dennis has that answer. Thanks, Kevin. Appreciate it. Thanks for the call. Yeah.
Yeah, I can answer that. No, basically your rates that you're paying, your water bill you pay, pays for everything. Pays for all the maintenance. It covers our debt service for the bond. It also covers all the capital improvements in that. Right now, at our current rates, we're covering all that. Now, I get asked all the time, here we are 2 years on a low rate, and I get asked all the time that when you're going to raise rates, when you're going to raise rates. All this stuff you're doing, we can do with what we're doing right now with the revenue that we have coming in. It would be great if we had more. But the thing that I can't control, unless Peter, you can, is the cost of material.
Right.
I don't know what cost of material is going to be a year from now or
Right.
2 years, or neither does the mayor or whatever. So what we do is when we do our budget, we have everything set in, we look at it. It would be great if we can hold on for another 2-3 years, but we don't know because we don't know what the cost of stuff is. Northwest Energy power bills are going up. Our current rates are from 2011. Nobody that has ever owned this water system that, to my knowledge, has able to hold those rates that long because previous owners would go for rate increases every 2 years. The previous owners right now that still own one of the other systems in California, they go for rate increases every year.
Now, let's see if I heard you correctly. In other words, the rate that I'm paying for water right now is the same rate I paid in 2011.
That's correct.
Let me just say that again. The rate, the rate that I'm paying now is the same rate I'm paying in 2011.
That's correct. The only changes.
I can say it again if you want.
Yeah,
The only changes is that it depends on how much water you used in 2011 and
Right.
now.
Yeah.
Right.
Do you
Exactly.
shower more? Do you irrigate more?
Well, no, I don't do that. So.
I can attest to that.
Hey. Anyway, there's before Kevin's question, we were kind of chatting a little bit on Facebook Live about the advantages of taking that dam down in Rattlesnake Creek. This is going to do some good things for fish, right? So if you could take us through that.
Yeah, basically what we've discovered working with Fish, Wildlife, and Park, which has been great partners with us for years. They did some study and testing and trying to figure out why aren't the bull trout going way up to the wilderness area, way up into the wilderness lakes of that. They stopped part way when they, what they found out is that so far up the wilderness area, because of low flows in the creeks and the temperature of water heating up too much, that they think the bull trout aren't getting up there. It's got to be a certain temperature in that. So what we're doing is we're working with Fish, Wildlife, and Parks. They put some additional sensors up there. They're going to put some more sensors up there in about a week at the effluents of some of the wilderness dams. Basically, we're hoping that by releasing some of the water out of the wilderness dams, that it's cold water off the bottom of the lake, that is going to drop the temperature of the water, increase the flow, get the bull trout to go all the way up into the top of the wilderness area. So that's part of the partnership with the city, with Fish, Wildlife, and Parks. So it's great.
Now from where you're describing this sounds kind of like a bonus deal that going along with removing this dam that you didn't even realize this was going to happen, but this is something a very pleasant surprise that goes on top of this, right?
It is. And even though they're doing the study in that, only part of it is because we're removing the dam. The other part of it is that we got a really good relationship, the city does, with Fish, Wildlife, and Parks. So this is part of the collaboration, working with them, and that it helps so many people to, everybody that loves to fish and that.
Sure.
Talking with them, they love this idea that this is happening.
One of the things that I realize, there's lots of things that attract people to Missoula, but one of the things that nobody really ever talks about very much is the aquifer, right? And we have this enormous aquifer under us that makes us, a very unusual place when it comes to water. So if you could kind of take us through that, give us a little bit of the history and what's going on with that.
We got a huge aquifer, and it refreshes constantly in that. It's always moving in that. So which a lot of the states, a lot of the country don't have that. So
what are the boundaries of this aquifer? Do you know?
Bonner down to Frenchtown, where the Blackfoot comes in, north side, it's a pretty big area. The university did a study back in early 2099 or whatever, and how fast the aquifer moves in that. So it's vital. We have a well that pumps 6,000 gallons a minute. And normally when you kick on a well and you're pulling that much water out, you have a pretty good drawdown of the aquifer. It draws down 6 inches.
Wow.
Yeah. It's just amazing. But it also brings up the importance of protecting it. So, part of it is don't drop oil in a sump. Don't, all this stuff. You have to protect whatever you put on the ground in that. It's going to end up going into the aquifer. Whatever you put in the creek, whatever you put in the rivers, it's eventually going to end up in the aquifer. So everybody has to do their part to protect it.
I remember I just did an interview a couple of days ago with some folks that have come up with a really cool a device to put near a storm drain if you're going to do like a charity car wash, a thing like that, and so the water gets captured, and that way it doesn't go down into the aquifer, but it gets saved, and they can actually remove it and take it someplace else, right?
That's correct. And one of my guys that I oversee is Bob Hayes. He's the stormwater superintendent, outstanding, knowledgeable, and everything.
I've interviewed him before.
Yep. Yeah, he's outstanding in that. We're going to end up attending the fair this year and try to get information out associated with the stormwater system, associated with the wastewater and Missoula water.
Excellent. We're going to take another break. Come right back. We have a Facebook question when we return, and we have 4 lines open if you'd like to visit with Dennis Bowman, who's the Deputy Public Works Director for Utilities for the City of Missoula and Missoula Water. When you flush and when you take a bath, and that's where all this is coming from. You can say a big thank you to, well, not personally, but
Pretty personally, really. Yeah.
I feel so clean. Anyway, we're coming right back in just a moment.
People have a really hard time wrapping their brains around the idea that there is enough money
Yeah.
to do all these things, and
Right.
that there is no tax money. And I always want to say, but it's tacky, so I don't. That's why everybody, big corporations want to own water utilities.
Yeah, we should reiterate it too in the last 10 minutes for people that might not have heard. Make that very clear to people.
It's definitely a moneymaker, I'll tell you. Because especially when they come in, they buy a system and then they leave, and everything just rots, and they just keep
Or
shoving in the money.
have influence with the PSC, so they get rate increases,
Yeah.
different in different states.
Yeah. Here we go. Well, that's not the one I wanted. Sorry about that.
Turn the lights down.
I thought that was Huey Lewis in the news, but it totally was not. Anyway, welcome back to talk about. We have a Facebook question.
Yeah, Kitty also wanted to know, what are some of the chemicals that are used in the water?
The only thing we use, oh, sorry.
That's
No, you're good.
my fault.
There you
Yep. The only thing we use is we put chlorine in the water. It basically disinfection. It helps us that if some type of contaminant should ever get in or whatever, it protects it. So we grab samples constantly every week. We do quarterly samples for a lot of the federal samples and that. But the only thing we put into water is just chlorine.
Okay. Now, since folks are constantly coming in and out of the show and joining us, for the folks who may have just joined us, and we're talking with Dennis Bowman from Missoula Watercourse, Ginny Merriam, Communications Director for the city. During the trial that went on for, gosh, it was quite a while, very protracted deal, became very expensive because of attorney's fees and things like that. People are always asking me, they're buttonholing me at church and at the grocery store, well, when is this going to start coming out of my taxes? And so we have an answer for that, right?
That's correct. And I'll recap part of that. Everything that the customers pay, the current rates from 2011, everything the customer pays takes care of all the maintenance of the system, along with all the capital improvements. It's an enterprise fund. The money we collect, the department collects, stays within the department. No general fund tax, no property tax, nothing gets used for the water system. So it all stays in. So that all comes in. We manage it. We have budgets, which I kind of maybe a little crazy or weird or whatever. I like this budget process because before the budget process is I do my budget, first submittal, it would go down to California or Canada. They would look at it and say, nope, too much money. You got to cut here or whatever and come back in I don't have to do that. I get submitted through City Hall with the mayor and that, send it to the city council. They look at it and that, they know it's all here. It's all, if a customer has questions about the budget, it's all public information. Come on by, look at it.
You're bad.
It's here. It's different than, okay, Peter, you want to see the budget and that where it was years ago? You can go down to Southern California and go see it.
Good luck with that. Right. Yeah. Now, one of the concerns I remember going back during that time was that the concerns, gosh, if it's owned by the city, if it's municipally owned, there's no longer under the purview of the Public Service Commission. A lot of people were very concerned about that because they thought, oh my gosh, what's going to happen if we're not being overseen by the PSC? So how do you respond to that and that put people's fears to rest on that?
Well, basically, how you do that is that they can go down to the city council chambers when we have city meetings and that. They can call our office if they have questions and stuff. They can call me. You don't have to go to Helena. You don't have to contact Public Service Commission. Everything is done here. Budget, future rate increases, like I said earlier, at some time we will, because here it is, since 2011 had a rate increase. Like I said, all the material prices go up, labor, insurance, power bills, everything. So, we're going to have to rate it. But we'll present all that, and then the customers can come in and ask questions.
How does Missoula Water compare to other water utilities across this state when it comes to rates?
Perfect question.
Are we number one?
We're not the highest, we're not the lowest, but at the current time is that they're going through, some of the other cities right now are going through rate increases. So they're raising their rates. Like I said, we're probably mid-range right now. We're in the process. It was emailed me this morning, same question. And so I'm going to have my admin person kind of reach out and see where everybody is and see where, how we compare with the other cities before and after they have the rate increases.
Okay. Yeah. So when it comes to that, I would imagine for folks who are concerned about, do we have any sort of a ballpark figure of how long, what it would take to force a rate increase? And in other words, what would have to happen for you to say, okay, I'm sorry, guys, we have no choice. We got to raise the rates.
Well, basically the way I look at it personally is that we shouldn't have to raise rates probably 3 years. But we're going to get to a point in that 3 years, if prices go up high, then we're going to end up having to start defer maintenance. We're going to have to start deferring things. And then we're no better off than the previous owners. I don't want to see that. I don't know what type of prices the material, pipe, chlorine, all that stuff, paper, I don't know, postage for all the bills in it. I don't know what that's going to be in a year from now or 2 years from now. So that's why I said we monitor and everything. I don't want to see us at turn around, we start deferring stuff. The system's in good shape. We're pretty even. We're being very proactive, taking care of the system, improving the system. And then we'll have to go through the process at some time. And it could be anywhere from 2 to 5%. I don't know. We won't know until we have all the numbers while we're doing budget process.
We got about 2 minutes left and we have a Facebook question. Go ahead.
Yeah. Facebook question. What is the percentage of city water versus well water in Missoula? Do you have that off the top of your head?
I don't have that off the top of my head, but I would say probably a good 98%, 99% of the city is all off of Missoula water.
Okay.
We still have a little bit of area outside the county that still is on Missoula water.
So when somebody decides, hey, I'm going to build a house and I need water, well, how does that work? I mean, it's all part of the development process, right?
That's correct. But if there's already existing main in that there, all they got to do is come in and pay a tap fee and hire a contractor and hook up to the existing main that's out in front of their property. And that if it's somebody out half mile or way out, then they're going to have to turn around and pay to extend the water main out there, because it's not fair for Missoula Water to pay for the extend that main, because then it gets passed on to you.
Right. Exactly. We have exactly a minute left. So let's talk about contact information, where we can find out more and contact you in your office if we have any consumer problems.
Yep. I'm at the Missoula Water office at 1345 West Broadway, 552-6700. Ask for me. Also, I got outstanding Superintendent Jerry Ellis. Customer Service Manager is Greg Gullickson. You can look at our webpage. And also, we're doing our quarterly newsletters in the bills. So people, some people I'm finding when they have direct debit or that, they don't look at their bill. Open it up, take a look at it, because there's really good stuff in there. And plus, coming on here when we have some big activities coming up.
You got it. It's a pleasure having you. Thank you.
Oh, yeah.
And Jenny, thanks for bringing it.
It's always a pleasure.
You bet. And that's going to do it for City Talk. We'll join you again next month. We're not sure who the mystery guest is going to be. But on Monday, we have Rob Nadelson from the Independence Institute. He'll be with us and sharing all things Constitution with you. And Supreme Court has been very active the last couple of days. We'll talk to him about that. Have a wonderful weekend and good luck in the marathon.